right, so I want to welcome everyone to the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont. A little bit of a cloudy day, a little bit of a misty day here in Beaumont, and I'd like to welcome our love streamers online. We know you're coming to us from near and far and in between, and so we want to send our energy and our love and our enthusiasm out to where you're viewing from, and we invite you and we feel your presence and your energy right here in the sanctuary. So live streamers, we're so glad you're joining us. And if you're a first-time guest online, we will send you a welcome packet. We have an electronic welcome packet we can get to you. So if you're a first-time guest, put your name in the chat box and your email. We'll get you a welcome packet. After service, if you're here in the sanctuary, we have, as always, our fellowship meal. And today we have soup and sandwiches. Homemade lentil soup from Donna and sandwiches. So we have a nice soup and sandwich meal on this kind of gray and misty day. And I'd like to invite you to take a moment to silence your cell phone. So if you can just take your cell phone, make sure it's on silent for a minute. We know Spirit speaks through technology, and Spirit speaks through the media, and Spirit speaks through the airwaves. But today in the sanctuary, and even at home, I invite you to silence your cell phone. Silence and take time to be silent within yourself so Spirit can get its transmission through. It can get its transcendent message through. It can get its transformational message through. And that's what we're here about here at the Center for Spiritual Living Beaumont, is transforming lives. And we transform lives individually within ourselves. As we transform the life within ourselves, we come to transform the world into a world that works for everyone. And what a beautiful message for the world today, a world that works for everyone with no one left behind. Our CSL purpose statement is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and we are spiritually magnificent. We are energy, we are light, we are evolving beings, and that evolution creates the revolution of new energy on this planet. And we evolve and we revolve, and we invite evolution in as we awaken our humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And we do that one thought at a time. That's how we do it in our New Thought Ancient Wisdom teaching. We change our lives, we change the world, and we change the energy into the harmony of heaven on earth as one, with love, one thought at a time. And so CSLB is an inclusive and transformative community of spiritual practice. We're so glad you're here today. The gift of your presence, the gift of your love, the gift of your light transforms the energy in this sanctuary. So I know we're in a transformative space, a place of transcendence, and a place where the truth of love is spoken here today. And so I invite Yve to go with our opening song.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides and all around us, really. There are oceans and rivers, enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, just for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow that's raking leaves. There are cornfields and wheat fields, enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams, enough to shine Listen, Lord, if you want to know what our world needs now is love, sweet love. That's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, just for everyone. No, not just for some, just for everyone.
So I want to thank Yve for bringing her loving presence and her loving energy to the center. It always is a transformative presence that works well with the message and works well with the teaching of love is all. And all is love. And so now you just want to take a moment to say, howdy neighbor, just a wave or a hello or a smile to somebody in front of you, behind you, around you. All right, so now we'll go into our announcements. And let's celebrate CSL birthdays because we forgot to celebrate them on the first Sunday. So if you have a birthday in the month of April birthday month, if you would raise your hand, if you're online, if you have an April birthday month, we are going to sing, hey, we've got some April birthdays right in the house here today. So we're going to sing happy birthday. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Yay, all right. We like to say in our Science of Mind teaching, where everything is always evolving, we like to evolve happy birthday into happy celebration day and happy continuation day, because life, we know, continues on and on and on and on. So our birthdays are great days to celebrate the continuation of our life. Our flower ministry, and this is sponsored by Rainbow Alliance, the CSL Rainbow Alliance today, and we sponsored these flowers, and we're pushing it a little bit. But CSL, take a breath. This organization is having its 100th birthday in 2027. So we're having a big celebration out of Selamar, a huge retreat in July, August of 2027. So I hope many members of this community will join us up there. It's going to be a fantastic celebration. So when those announcements comes out for reservations, get them in, because it's going to sell out really fast. So I'm pushing the deadline because I was really excited when they announced it. But Rainbow Alliance sponsored these a little bit ahead of time for the 100th anniversary of CSL, and that takes my breath away. That takes my breath away. And so we're having our special longtime CSLB member, Jan Bell, made her transition on March 22. She was 90 years old. The Celebration of Life service will be at the First United Methodist Church of Redlands on Saturday, April 18th. That's next Saturday at 11 a.m. And the family asks that in lieu of flowers, donations may be made to her beloved San Bernardino Symphony at sanbernardinosymphony.org. More than we seem, book study, right? More than the appearance of who we think we are. There's this great spiritual depth of awareness of the divinity that we truly are. That's More Than We Seem, book study. Reverend Jesse Jennings, facilitated by Reverend Neil. It meets every Thursday at the home of Yvonne Fowler, and if you call Yvonne, she will give you the gate code. So again, Thursdays, 4 to 5:30, Reverend Neil, More Than We Seem. And this Wednesday, Normally it's the second Wednesday because of schedules and conferences. It's been moved to this Wednesday, and I invite you to come to our metaphysical movie night. Having a great pasta meal, going to have great desserts, and then we're going to have a great movie. And it's guess who's coming to dinner? Katharine Hepburn, Sidney Poitier, marvelous, marvelous cast. And one of my favorite lines from that, it gives you a look back, a time capsule of where this country was as far as DEI back in the 60s. And one of my favorite lines, because it speaks to me of our Science of Mind teaching, it speaks to me of how I'm evolving as a person, is when Sidney Poitier's father, who was a mailman, comes to visit and is kind of aghast that he's at the situation that's unfolding. And the father says, I carried my mail bag 1,000,000 miles to be able to send you to college. I walked 1,000,000 miles with my mail bag. And then this is what's evolving. You're getting into, a mixed marriage. And the father said, that's not why I carried my bag 1,000,000 miles. And Sidney Poitier says this, and it touches my heart. And he says to his father, Dad, I appreciate all you did for me, but you have to get off my back. And what I want you to know is that you see yourself as a black man, and I see myself as a man. Powerful theme for our times today. Evolution, becoming the person we're meant to be. Beautiful music, movie, beautiful theme, beautiful cast. We have Happy Earth Day, and we have a CSLB tree planting ceremony on April 26th. We will be planting a tree after service, and someone suggested that Ross have it pre-planted, and Ross said, no, we're bringing shovels, so you're going to be put to work. Everybody's going to grab a shovel and participate in digging that hole and planting that tree, so come with your blue jeans on, because you're going to take a shovel of dirt and help us dig that hole and help us plant that tree. It's a community tree. It's a community event, and it's celebrating Happy Earth Day, honoring our Earth, Mother Earth, that has been so good and so nourishing to us. And we have a spectacular event, Melodies in the Garden, an afternoon of live music, champagne, and light fare. Renowned singer musician Yve Evans, who's in the house today, will be providing an in-home concert at Yvonne's home, and tickets are $50. All of the proceeds of those tickets will go to support this center. It is a fundraiser. The door prize is valued at $100. You can purchase tickets through the office or Eventbrite online. Again, Yvonne Fowler's home, and that is coming up on May 9th, so it's just around the corner. Buy your tickets now, because they're limited, I think, to 25 or 30, so buy your ticket. Make sure you're at that event. Then we have a Mother's Day brunch coming up and Rose Garden dedication. That's Sunday, May 10th, and it'll be after the 10 a.m. service. We will be rededicating the Rose Garden, which Ross has been working on. It's really starting to come to life again, and we're going to dedicate it and honor a lot of our members who've been here over the years. We have, join us next Sunday, third Sunday, How to Speak Science of Mind, casual conversation about how we bring this teaching into our life. And as we bring this teaching into our life begins to expand in love and faith and hope. Wednesday Wellness, going well. A practitioner, Tommy Jones, hosts this midweek faith lift, conscious conversation group. It's free monthly online Zoom, 5:45 to 6:30, first Wednesday of the month. If you would like to participate, if you're a snowbird, if you're not here locally, email me, rev@cslbeaumont.org, and I will send you the link to click on. It's a wonderful evening of conversation, of conscious conversation. And we have Good Grief Support Group. It is moved to Tuesdays, 1 to 2:30, right here in the sanctuary. Grief is something we don't move through alone. We move through it together. And grief is a process of healing and realizing that, yes, the grief will always be with us. But as we expand into life, as we re-engage into life, as we welcome life back in, the grief stays the same size and our life gets bigger. So the grief won't get smaller, but as your life gets bigger, the grief becomes a smaller part of your life. We are looking for people to help us with our telephone so we can answer calls promptly. And so if you would like to take messages, we can transfer our phone number to your phone at home. And so it'll ring on your phone, our office number, and we're looking for people to take calls between 9 and 12 on several days a week. So if you want to talk to me about that, or to Shannon, she's involved in that, and we'll get a list of people, just 9 to 12. You pick up and say, hello, this is CSL Beaumont, even if it's in your own living room. And then at the end of the noon, you transfer the number back to the center. So it transfers right to your own phone, and you can do that at home. Practitioner session, Adrian Madden. He will not be here today. He has taken the day off to spend a day with his family. But Yvonne and I will be in the prayer room, hosting the prayer room right after Sunday service. So come to the prayer room for shared prayer. And as always, a community potluck after service. Those are our announcements for today. And so now I invite Yve to go into our contemplative song, and then Yvonne will come up and do an invocation and a pray-in. We don't have that. We'll get that next week.
I had all these plans. We even discussed our plans. CSL Beaumont is now going to the choir. Are you ready, choir? Are you ready, choir? Oh, yeah. See, they can't see you, you know, out there in cyber world. This is an old song. It was before Pastor Mike, but it involves some physical activity. When we sing leaning, lean to the left first. Your other left. Oh, yeah. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arm. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting. Here comes the leaning, 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 safe and secure from all alarm, leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arm. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arm. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting. Come on, choir. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting. Do it again. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all alarm. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arm. Leaning, leaning, safe and secure from all our. That's the ticket. Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms.
Now Yvonne, Practitioner Yvonne Fowler, will come in and do our invocation today, inviting Spirit into the presence of this sanctuary.
Just take a deep breath and know why you're here. You're here because you want to join all of us, share with us, and listen to the Word. And as we go within, we know that our God's self is with us always. So the God source is within us. And as we come together, we listen for what Reverend Michael has to say today. And we take it in and we share with ourselves the message. And we know that the texts that help us make the program, the service, run smoothly and effortlessly are with us. And as you heard our musician, she's beautiful. The words of the songs come right out of her heart, and they fill each one of us with messages. So as we come together, stay focused and listen. And so it is.
And so this saying came to me this morning, and I decided to put it at the top of our talk today. And it's about science of mind is not about setting things right. Science of mind is about seeing rightly. It's about seeing beyond the conditions of the world. And yes, the conditions are very real. We do not deny them. But we also don't live from the condition. We live from the consciousness of knowing that there's a spiritual energy behind any condition. And we live from that spiritual energy and we see rightly the condition. We then come to see rightly from our life, and as Yvonne said, he sings from her heart, and Ernest Holmes writes from his heart, and this teaching prays from its heart, and this teaching invites us to be present with the love in our heart and make it present in the world. And one of those ways, and in the book The Little Prince, it says the only way we see rightly is when we see from the love in our heart. And so you should have been given an envelope. The envelope, please. If you'll take your envelope and open your envelope, and this is going to take us into that energy of seeing rightly from that heart light of love that we are, the divinity love that we are. And so as you take out your seeing rightly glasses, and you have a seeing rightly stone, or an earthly stone, to help you hold to an intention and an energy this week of faith and hope and love and light. But right now, if you'll take out your seeing rightly glasses and put them on just for a second so we can see rightly from the heart. And I want to go back and say, wasn't it a wonderful week? And that kind of chokes me up a little bit, because there are a lot of weeks we have trouble saying, wasn't it a wonderful week in our country? And wasn't it a wonderful week that Artemis took off, went to the moon, came back, and landed safely? And that mission began with John Kennedy in 1960 when he said, we need to get to the moon. And he involved great scientists, Wernher von Braun, and he said, we need to put together, John Kennedy said, I can get you any scientist from anywhere in the world. I can put together the most learned team of scientists. Tell me who you want, and I will get them. And John Kennedy said to Wernher von Braun, I can get you all the financing you need. Tell me how many millions or tens of millions of dollars you need to go to the moon, because I can get you the financing for this country to go to the moon. And Wernher von Braun turned to John Kennedy and said, it isn't about the learned scientists, and it isn't about the budget. And John Kennedy said, what will it take to get us to the moon? And Wernher von Braun said, the belief in your heart that you know we can. And so, many years later, 60, 70 years later, isn't it wonderful that this country returned to the moon to honor that original vision? And isn't it wonderful that so many of our space programs have carried us beyond the space of our bigotry, the space of our discontinuity, the space of our disharmony? There were so many races and so many religions and so many people from so many countries that have traveled on those rockets into outer space. And so the space program has brought us to that space of oneness, that space of awareness, that space of truth, of knowing that we can move beyond borders, we can move beyond boundaries, we can move beyond the limitation of nations. And almost every astronaut who has traveled and come back said when they looked at our planet Earth, how tiny it appeared in the overall place of space. It appeared so tiny. But they said the thing that appeared so big when they looked back on our planet Earth, there were no boundaries, no borders that they can see. It was all one. Isn't that a wonderful message to bring back to space? Isn't that a wonderful message to bring into the space of our heart? And Ross and I had a great opportunity, very honored to climb a mountain the past few days. We went to the CSL Reno convention. It was their business convention. And to get there, we had a 10-hour drive. And we had to go up many, many winding roads and many, many mountains and many, many slow curves. And we kept climbing higher and higher and higher and higher into the Nevada Sierras. And the mountains were snow-capped, and they were beautiful, the visions and the vistas and the lakes and Mono Lake. We saw things that took us to a place beyond the physical plane, into that place of that metaphysical awareness of how beautiful planet Earth is, how beautiful planet Earth is. And I was thinking, and I was sharing with Yve, that as we were driving up, what came into my mind was, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes, because we went around so many mountains, so many winding roads, and we couldn't see beyond to where we were going next, but we had the faith that we were heading to someplace wonderful. And so I've asked Yve if she will lead us off with just a couple of rounds, and if you'd like to stand and sing with me, she'll be coming around the mountain, and then we'll talk about what's coming around the mountain. So if you want to do this, and then we'll go into metaphysical. So
all choir standing. For those of you who are listening and watching, streaming, everybody's got on these glasses, and I can see everyone. You should be here. You could have got glasses too. They're shaped like hearts. I can't, I have no words. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You can clap on 1 and 3 for this one. Okay, nobody got that joke. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Riding 6. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 horses when. Let's come around the mountain one more time. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. When she comes. When she'll come around the mountain when she. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. Beginning. Coming around the mountain when she comes. And then amen. Amen.
And so now I'm moving over to be with Yve, who's going to accompany me with on the metaphysical version of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. So we did the traditional version. I want you to listen to these new metaphysical lyrics that I wrote this morning. So here we go. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. Love's coming round the mountain with a joy you can't suppress it. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. If the road feels long and winding, that's okay. If the road feels long and winding, that's okay. Every turn is love in motion, every curve a new devotion. If the road feels long and winding, that's okay. We don't chase it, we don't worry, no, not us. We don't chase it, we don't worry, no, not us. We just stand in expectation with a grin of celebration, 'cause love's been on its way always to us. So we sing it, clapping, dancing, can't you tell? So we sing it, clapping, dancing, can't you tell? With compassion, care, and trust, we keep showing up in love, and love keeps coming around the mountain, always will.
No, wait a minute. First verse again. You always have to go back to
we go back to the first verse.
and answer him, right?
All right, choir, love's coming around the mountain. Here it comes. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. Love's coming round the mountain, 'cause of joy you can't suppress it. Love's coming round the mountain, here it comes. So on the way to Colorado this week, we did many mountains, we did many curves, and it got me to thinking about what's our Science of Mind teaching about in times like these? Times like these, what's our teaching about? And so I thought, in times like these, I ask patience to stand by me. And patience answers by visiting me and by reminding me good things take time to come to fruition. And in times like these, on that mountaintop, I asked peace to visit me. And peace visited me, and peace answered by reminding me I may remain calm through the storms of life. And in times like these, I ask hope to visit me. And hope answers by reminding me better times lie ahead. And in times like these, I ask love to visit me. And love answers by reminding me I need not search for love in others, as love, true love, lives within me and stands by me always. And that's our talk title, Stand By Me, the Power of Love. Ernest Holmes shares in this teaching that there is no ownership of anything, yet there is a oneness with everything. And that oneness connects everything in the conscious power of love. And sometimes it shows up in the way we load the dishwasher. So I want to start with a love story, because Science of Mind really is a love story. And it's a love story not of a movie kind of romantic love, and it's a real-life, everyday kind of love story, the kind of love story that shows up in everyday wonders if we're only present and take the time to see and be with them. So there was a couple I once knew, and they relentlessly argued about how to load the dishwasher. And finally, one of them said, "Why do you always load it that way? The forks are supposed to be up, not down. The knives are supposed to be down, not up. And the spoons are supposed to be down in the basket, not up." And the other person replied, "Because that's the way love would do it." And suddenly it wasn't about forks or plates or knives or loading the dishwasher anymore. It was about being seen. It was about being valued. And it was about being loved right where you are. That's how love usually works. It sneaks into ordinary moments. It puts on an apron in the kitchen and says, "Hey, this matters. This matters. Let's do this together. Let's do this together. Let's cook together and sing together and dance together and come together, climb that mountain together. Let's come together in love." It's really not about the way you load the dishwasher. It's about the way we get to be present with each other. And today, that's what we're talking about. That love shows up in real life. Love stands up in real situations. Love that heals, makes whole, and makes complete. Sometimes it's the love that shows up in the way we load the dishwasher. And as we stand in love, love stands with us. My father had a saying that he lived by. Not just something he said, but something he stood in all of his life. And his saying, "I will prepare, and I will be ready." And I think Science of Mind would invite us to evolve that into I will be present, and I will be loved. Because if we spend our whole life preparing and getting ready, then we never step fully into the love or stand in the love that we really are. So let's evolve I will prepare and I will be ready into I will be present and I will be loved. That's our Science of Mind teaching. That's the evolution. And as we often hear those words, they've been attributed to Abraham Lincoln. And whether or not he first said them, there's something timeless in the stance behind those words. They reflect a way of meeting life with intention and integrity and presence. Because in Science of Mind, we understand this. How we stand inwardly determines how life shows up outwardly. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it beautifully. The ancestry of every action is in the thought behind it. Thought first, action follows. So the question is never just what we do. The question is, where are we standing when we do it? Where are we standing when we load the dishwasher? Where are we standing when we put gas in our tank? Where are we standing in life? Where are we standing in life? And so, to stand in the power of love is where Ernest says we should be standing all the time. To stand in that power of love. And that's where he invites us to stand. And there's a story of a spiritual leader who once asked his congregation a simple yet searching questions. And aren't those really the best? Simple and searching. That's our teaching. That's our teaching. Simple and searching. And he asked this question of the community. Where does love stand in your daily life? Where does love stand in your daily life? Does your love stand in the full faith of acceptance? Or does your love stand in the full fear of the absence thereof? Does your love stand in the full trust of heaven as on earth? Or does your love stand in the full fear of hell below? And in that sanctuary that day, some stood in the belief of heaven, some stood in the belief of hell in the here and after, and then from the back of the room, a tall gentleman with a stovepipe hat, top hat, held in his hand, stood slowly. And he spoke quietly, and he spoke gently, and he spoke these words. I don't stand in fear or in hell or in rewards of heaven. I stand in the belief of equality and love for all people. And I loved that moment of that quiet gentleman with a top hat in hand, because I absolutely loved that moment, because that man wasn't arguing theology or debating beliefs. He was revealing consciousness. I believe in love and equality for all. No argument, no debate, just truth. And in Science of Mind, what we stand in inwardly is exactly what shows up outwardly. This gentleman with the top hat in hand wasn't standing against anything. He was standing in principle. He was standing in love as law. And whenever someone stands in love like that, not emotionally, but consciously, life responds. Life responds. Life responds to love. Because Spirit always takes form through consciousness. You know, there are moments when we believe we're outside of God's circle, outside of the spiritual circle, outside of the circle of heaven as on earth, and we feel we're outside and we don't belong anywhere, that we're outside of healing. In most challenging times, we feel we're outside of love. But in Science of Mind, we know outside is never a place. Outside is a belief. It's a belief in separation. What has been called the outcast, the rejected, the unworthy, is simply the place where love has not yet been recognized. Where are you standing in life? How do you load the dishwasher? Are you standing in the fullness and the faith of love? Where can you shine that light of love a little bit more brightly? A little bit more brightly, to bring yourself into that circle, that unity, that oneness of love, that healing power of love. Ernest Holmes shares this. Healing does not come from changing who we are. Healing comes from remembering who we are. We come here to remember, I think most teachings invite us to remember to remember. I remember Northfield Congregational Church, Weston, Connecticut. Went there for years as a kid, Sunday school and the service afterwards. And there was a table up front, and it said, "Remember me." It was carved in wood on the table up front. Northfield Church Sanctuary, remember me. And I always thought, who am I supposed to be remembering? Who am I supposed to be remembering? And it wasn't until I came into the teaching of Science of Mind 30 years later that I came to realize that the person that I was supposed to be remembering was me. The person I'm supposed to be remembering most is me. And I came to remember, and I came to feel, and I came to experience, and the compassion heals, and judgment never does. And I came to experience that love doesn't cross boundaries. Love dissolves boundaries. And just like that man in the rear of the sanctuary standing in the back of the room, when love stands up, I'm coming to find and experience and feel into and be. When love stands up, division and disharmony sit down. Ernest Holmes reminds us that healing is not the arrival of spirit. Spirit's already here. Spirit's already here. And that healing is the removal of whatever blocks the free flow of spirit. Healing is the removal of whatever blocks the flow of spirit. And when love is allowed to flow, life reorganizes itself. Your life reorganizes itself. The life of a community reorganizes itself. The life of the planet reorganizes itself. And I think as we reorganize, maybe revitalize our organs, and when we come to take a look back on who we are and remember that we're one planet without boundaries or borders, we come to experience that no one on the Artemis spaceship is beyond love's reach. That no moment in our life, despite the appearance, is outside of love's grace. Not a single moment in your life, despite the appearance, is beyond love's grace. And no life is forgotten by Spirit's loving presence. When you feel you're alone, you're not forgotten. And what is ours to do is to remember who we are. We're one with that divinity within our humanity. We're one with that presence of Spirit. We're one with that healing power of love. Because Ernest Holmes shares with us that life is eternal. Life is omnipresent. It's going on everywhere and all at once. And healing has always been an inside job. So the invitation from Science of Mind today, it's simple and profound. Where are you standing? Where are you standing? Where are you standing? If you're standing in love, then love stands with you. And love stands through you. And love does what love always does. It heals. It heals hurts. It brings them into the expansion of hope. Hope leads to healing. And healing leads to the harmony of love. The divine harmony, the divine perfection. Divine physical perfection, divine financial prosperity, divine spiritual connection, divine creative expression. This is a simple message, but it's so profound. Something that came to me, this is not in the talk, but I guess it's in the talk now. Isn't that the best? Isn't that the best? Isn't that the best when something comes to you? Isn't that just the best? During meditation, I was watching this candle. We bought these candles a few months ago, and I will admit they were pricey. And I said, I don't think the center can afford to burn these candles, so we'll just have them for show. And Ross said, no, we're going to light the candles. And fortunately, they burn 50 hours. Thank you, Spirit. They're 50-hour candles. So I was watching, and the flames were on top and very visible. The light was very visible when they were new, right? The wick was up there, and you could see it. And I was looking at that during meditation and went, how spectacularly beautiful. The flame has gone deeper. The light of truth has gone deeper into the body of that candle, and yet it reflects in that uniqueness of the body of that candle. Look at the shape of that candle. It's spectacular. And we can still see the light, but the light's coming from a deeper place. It's shining from a deeper truth. And as it shines from a deeper truth in that place of love, the body of the candle changes. Our body changes in accord to the depth of the light of our truth, the light of our love, the light of our hope, and the light of our faith. Our bodies change as our light goes deeper. And while it may not be quite as visible as when it's on top, it's very profound. And I looked at all of these candles behind me and I thought, oh my gosh, each of these candles, the light has gone deeper. And as that light went deeper, the shape of the candle changed outside. Can we see how Spirit's present with us? Can we see Spirit? Can you believe that as your light goes deeper, as your truth goes deeper, as your faith goes deeper, your body is going to respond in physical form. Your finances are going to expand into consciousness. Can we see that it's a simple but profound teaching? And the entire message came to me during meditation when I looked at the shape of that candle. And so the tall man in the back of that sanctuary that day, whose love was very deep, whose faith was very strong, whose hope was very evident to this nation over the years he served, that day, the man who stood up and spoke gently and quietly, and this is a true story, was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln wrote, spoke, honored, and stood in the depth of the power of his soul's love. And he brought that forth to the heart of this nation. And he brought it forth for many years. And we still honor his memory today. We still honor his memory today. And by the way, Abraham Lincoln, the man in the back with the top hat who spoke of going deeper into love, he won election to Congress that year. And he won it by a landslide. When you stand in the depth of the love in your soul, you're going to win everything by a landslide. You're going to win love by a landslide. You're going to win prosperity by a landslide. You're going to win the vote of coming to know who you are by a landslide. And I think that landslide eventually in this teaching, simple but profound, becomes an avalanche of awareness of who I truly am, of where I'm meant to stand, and what I'm meant to presence. The story of the little prince, it's only from the love in our hearts that we see rightly. You know, there's a story about the fork in the road. We've all heard about the fork in the road. When you come to the fork in the road, which way do you go? Well, this story is not about the fork in the road. It's about frogs in the road. But it brings up the same question. When you meet a frog in the road, where do you go? Ernest Holmes says that we go into the presence of love. But the story is of frogs in the road. The story is the power of love is divine and perfect if we're willing to see it rightly. Holmes identifies the power within each person, right? The shape in each candle. It shapes us. It forms us. It reveals us. It heals us. And he talks about it as the life of spirit. And he said it's perfect and it's pure. And he writes, there is one life. That life is spirit. That life is my life. That life is perfect within me. This power of love is the essence of divine life flowing through every individual and through every frog too. So the following story is about a grandfather, a grandson, and frogs in a puddle. It's about the oneness of the consciousness of love connecting us all. And it's a story about the moment, simple yet profound. It's a story about the moment. Love remembers itself. Grandfather's driving his grandson to graduation practice, and they're a little bit late. The road is busy. The world already feels full enough. The news this week on the radio has been hard. There's war in places we can barely pronounce. And pain is closer to home, and we don't always have words for it. And then right in front of them, frogs on the road. Small, vulnerable, but mostly in the way. The grandson sighs and says, "We don't have time for this. I'll be late for graduation practice." And the grandfather does something simple and yet profound. Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Where do you stand when frogs show up on the road? The grandfather does something simple, something quiet, and something tender. He stops the car. He steps out of the car and he gently moves the frogs one by one to safety. Look, it wasn't anything dramatic. He didn't need an announcement. He didn't need to post it on Facebook. He just needed to stand in the presence of his love, in the presence of his compassion, and in the presence of caring. And that moment for the grandson and for all of us was a teaching for our time. Love does not ignore a hurting world. Love just refuses to harden in the face of it. And love reminds us that which we face, it becomes our grace. Science of mind reminds us there is one life expressing as all life. And sometimes the most healing thing we can do is to tend to what's right in front of us and tend to it with kindness. And sometimes that might be the way you load the dishwasher. Sometimes that might be the way you load the dishwasher. So later today, later this week, when you load your dishwasher, ask yourself, where am I standing? Where am I standing? Doesn't really matter which way the tines of the fork go. What matters is that you're standing in the truth of love, the way Abraham Lincoln did. You know, we may not be able to stop every war, but we can stop and choose love right where we are. And when we do, even quietly, even briefly, healing begins. Healing begins. Because love lived in the right here and now is the power that heals everything. And so today's affirmation, and I'll read it and I invite you to say it with me. I am present and open to the power of love. I invite you to read that with me. I am present and open to the power of love. Look, love is always present. And Ernest Holmes shares this. Holmes emphasizes that the power is not something external or distant. It's not even on the moon. It's always present within us. It's not something we went to the moon to find. It's something we took to the moon within us. The astronauts carried that love of adventure, that love of new awareness, that love of reflecting back on who we are. They carried that love with them. They didn't discover it there. They carried it with them. They were standing in it with them. And from the stance they took, they came to see the world in a way without borders. Holmes states, it's already here, just like the energy of light or gravitational force. Spiritual awakening involves recognizing and consciously using this ever-present power. There's a story called The Appointment. It's an old story about a man who goes to the marketplace and suddenly feels fear. He hears that death is looking for him that very night. Alarmed, he decides he will not let death find him. And so he says, tonight I will leave this place. Tonight I will go far away to Samaria. Later that day, death approaches a vendor in the very marketplace and asks, have you seen this gentleman I've been looking for? And the vendor replies, oh, you will not find him. He was here earlier today, but he has left. Tonight he will be in Samaria. Death pauses and then quietly responds, that is good, because tonight I have an appointment in Samaria. From a metaphysical perspective, this story is not about punishment or fate. It's about consciousness. It reminds us that when we do not run into divine moments, nor can we run away from them. What we encounter is always aligned with where consciousness is ready to awaken. So wherever you are standing today is where your consciousness is ready to awaken. Don't run toward it and don't run from it. Just stand in it. Just stand in it. Samaria is not a destination on a map, nor are our fears or our doubts. It's always a place in awareness. The moment we can no longer avoid seeing more deeply. And what we meet there in the Samaria of our consciousness, it's not loss. What we meet is transformation. Ernest Holmes teaches that life is eternal and continuously expressing, and it expresses itself in new ways. The candle, the wick, and the flame, all changing because of their relationship to each other. Everyone in this congregation, everyone in this community, everyone in this world, all changing because of our relationship to each other. Ernest Holmes teaches that life is eternal, continuously expressing in new ways, and what appears as an ending is often a doorway. What feels like fear is often an invitation. And the appointment is never with death. The appointment is always with a higher truth of love unfolding. Love's power can heal and transforms. Holmes says there's a power in you that can help resurrect the dead. It's a power you didn't put there. It's a power we all have. It's a power we ought to learn to use it. And we ought to learn to use it by standing in it. Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Anita Moorjani stood on the brink of death. In her book, Dying to Me, she reveals that she came to experience that love is the power that heals, and I have experienced that as well. I've had the gift of experiencing that. Love is the power that heals. And you know, this talk keeps coming back to that. Love really is the power that heals, not because love rushes in with an answer, but because love has this way of slowing us down. Just enough to remember who we are. And sometimes love takes us even further than that. Anita Moorjani is a story of a woman who spent years trying to be enough for her family, for her father, for her husband, for her children. She spent years trying to please, trying to perform, trying to get it right, trying to earn her place in the world. And eventually her body said, "It's too much for me to carry." And when her body could no longer keep on going in this world of resistance with living the false bravado of others people's dictates of who she should be, her body created terminal cancer. Then something beautiful happened, and she found herself completely held in unconditional love. She talks about rising from the body on the operating table when there was nothing they could do, and she got stuck on the ceiling. Oh, this is a true story. She got stuck on the ceiling. She couldn't go into that outer space out of her body, got stuck in the ceiling of the surgery room, and finally she transcended the ceiling, and she went to realms beyond realms, even beyond realms. The Artemis spaceship went this week, and she came to experience this presence of love, this energy of light, and this knowing of ancient wisdom of truth. That love is continuous and immortal and eternal. And she came to recognize the power of choice, of the divinity within her humanity. And as the fear, she says, loosens its grip, life flowed again. She decided to come back to the physical body. The surgeon said it was not possible. Her body was riddled with cancer. 24 hours later, she had had a complete spontaneous healing. Not one cell of cancer remained, and decades later, not one cell of cancer has returned. Ernest Holmes tells us, healing isn't something we push into. Healing happens when we stop pushing against love. A paused moment, a softened heart, a remembering. And somehow, it's always enough to remember who we are, and to remember where we're standing, even when we're loading the dishwasher. So maybe that's the whole invitation of the talk today. Maybe that's the whole invitation of Ernest Holmes, and maybe that's the whole invitation of consciousness, to stand in love, to pause in love and to smile a little bit more in love. Because love isn't something we reach for even with the Artemis spaceship. Love is already within us. And ours is not to reach for it. Ours is merely to open and to receive it. Love is the power that heals. Goethe said this, magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, if you can believe in yourself, you can make anything happen. Anita Marjani. Yes. Abraham Lincoln. Yes. NASA. The Artemis spaceship. Yes. The divinity within our humanity. It's here and now. Today we spoke of the power of love to make anything happen. And all that love requires of us is that we consciously commit to it, consciously stand in it, and consciously live from it, even when we're loading the dishwasher. And so, our talk was Stand By Me, the Power of Love. And the question we asked, not the answer we came to, is, where do you stand? We came to realize that Science of Mind is a profound yet simple teaching that invites us to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the light of our faith, the love in our soul, and that divine presence within your humanity. And as our light goes deeper, it changes the outer reflection, the outer appearance of even this physical world. And so I invite us to end this talk today by saying our affirmation one more time, and let's say this together. I am present and open to the power of love. And so ends our talk. And so I invite Yve to take us into our final song.
You know, I love coming here. When I walk in the door, I feel that love and fellowship, you know. Can't help it. And for those that are listening, I know you feel it too. Can't help it. When the night has come, the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. You know the song? Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand, won't you stand by me? If the sky we look upon should crumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea. For those of you not in California, we think about that all the time. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. Come on, choir. Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Darlings, darling, stand by me. Won't you stand by me? Stand stand. It's really good when you have somebody to stand with you. And that's what happens here. That's what we're preaching about. Stand by me.
So our teaching is simple yet profound. Our message today was relatively simple, somewhat profound. And so the prayer that I will pray here today will be simple and profound, because those are the best prayers. And it will be a prayer of knowing that we stand in the presence of love, love stands with us. Together I invite us to say, and so it is. So now it's our time of conscious giving. I invite our ushers to come forward. You're welcome to begin the collection as we read this together as a community. I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my beloved community is richly blessed, and so it is. Love Streamers Online, you can text GIVE to 951-420-6909, or you can do that in the sanctuary, and you can go to our website, cslbeaumont.org, and there's a donate button right in the right-hand corner. We appreciate your contributions to this center to keep our message going and growing and glowing. And mostly we appreciate your presence here today. It's your presence that is the gift you bring to us.
Won't you stand, please stand by me.
What is it? The love is something that takes time to pause and be present. Kind of a nice energy here. Yes? Kind of a nice energy in the sanctuary right now. And so as we keep this energy within ourselves and take it beyond the sanctuary today, right now let's stand up and we form a circle. Embrace the sanctuary with our love. We bring it into the circle of love. We don't stand outside the circle. We bring it within the circle. So as we step into this circle, as we create this circle, as we become this circle, let us together sing, yes, there is peace on earth. Peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, family all are we. We will walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. knowing that peace began here today, peace continues here today, and peace is the love and the light and the truth of the energy of our souls that we bring forth as the energy of this world. And knowing there are no boundaries, there are no borders, there are no boundaries. We are one in the unity of knowing. Love is all there is. And together I invite us to say, and so it is. We have lunch in Carter Hall. We have collective prayer in the Om Room, which is right to the right. Yvonne Fowler will be in the Om Room leading collective prayer. So don't leave here with anything heavy on your heart. Thank you for being in service today.